Well, we're going to talk about a project that I titled Helping Children in Mission with an Economy-Minded Team, but it's certainly not just to help children. That happened to be what the Lord gave us an assignment to do, and just wanted to talk about it because it really got us thinking out of the box with this team in Kenya. It's an orphanage, Home of the Good Shepherd, that we do ministry with, and I have a children's ministry called Fruit That Lasts. We were over in Kenya doing that ministry with them, which is puppets and teachings, and we were traveling around to different orphanages, and we quickly learned over there that they have the hardest time with school fees. That is the most expensive thing they face. They have beautiful farms, so the food, they've been able to manage that, but they can't grow because of the school fees over there. The public schools are very expensive. So we began praying while we were on this trip in 2017 about how we might be able to help. And Simon Mawara, the gentleman, him and his wife Lucy, run the orphanage. He's very economy-minded. He wants the children to not just receive, but to contribute. And when you meet them, they have that mindset. They are very much interested in what can they do, and their education is very important to them. So as we prayed, as we were over there for 2 weeks, the Lord gave us an idea that we then spent the next 8 months implementing. So I want to introduce the team that the Lord put together for our project. This gentleman here is Jean-Claude, and he's from Burundi, Africa. He had actually flown over to help us do Alpha training, which was part of our mission over there, and he became a key part of this project without even knowing that he was going to. The gentleman next to him is Richard Oku. He's the Kenya Alpha director. So the two of them, I'll explain their role in just a second. Simon and Lucy are in the middle. Marianne, myself, and Christy, we were the Fruit That Lasts team. So what happened with Richard and Jean-Claude is one night the power went out at our hotel, and we had a guitar, and we had peanut butter and jelly and bread. And so we gathered around with the guitar and a candle and our dinner, and they began singing this most beautiful song together. Both of them had lovely voices, harmonizing beautifully, and we recorded it on our phone. And that was the end of it. Power came back on. We continued on with our trip until we did this project. And their music, when we decided what we were doing, became part of the project, and I'll explain a little bit more as I unfold it, which was really neat. So Simon and Lucy, like I said, they run the orphanage, and so we kind of all just put our minds together in prayer and came up with our project. So what this is it's a devotion book and a set of bracelets, and that's what the Lord had given us to do. What happened is it started with my business partner kind of having a dream while we were over there that was jewelry with a purpose. And so we all as a team began praying about, what is that, Lord? There's lots of jewelry projects. You hear that's kind of common. And so as we prayed, the Lord, that the purpose part of the jewelry was that they would go along with a devotion book. And so we began creating the devotion book that you see here. And it's 9 devotions on the fruit of the Spirit. What we decided to do was to have the children involved a couple of ways. The devotions, they have a poem in them for each fruit of the Spirit. They have a story that helps children everywhere learn what these children of the orphanage do to show love or to show joy or peace or whatever. So it kind of gives you a little bit of insight into their lives. And we began teaching them how to be public speakers. How to do these devotions, how to recite poetry. They didn't know how to recite poetry, so they found someone in their town that could help the children learn how to recite poetry. They decided on their own to put the poetry to sign language, take it a step further and do sign language to the poems. And then we wanted to have a corresponding bracelet for every devotion. So for every fruit of the Spirit, there's a different color bracelet that the children at the orphanage make. And they have learned how to do bracelet making and they go to market and get the beads, and then when we go on trips or they come here, then we exchange them. Now, what's neat about the devotions to us is that the Lord gave us the idea at the end of each devotion to put a QR code. And so if you hold your phone over the QR code, it plays the devotion. So all of a sudden, I use this to teach a lot, and we sell these a lot for curriculum, so that not only are the children that are learning the curriculum getting to learn about the fruit of the Spirit, they're all of a sudden getting transported into this orphanage and watching this devotion take place live in the middle. I mean, sometimes you can hear cows in the background or, whatever, but it's amazing what it does. And we featured one of the children at the orphanage on each devotion, so they all had a chance to be out front and do public speaking, and then some of the ones were in the background. And it was amazing to see just how far they took it to learn the skill. Now, we are children's book authors with Fruit That Lasts. This is our children's books. So we went to our publisher and told her about the project, and she agreed to do a published book for them pro bono, and which was such a gift because we were doing like just little pamphlets and had them in pretty bags, and they were nice, but it took it to a whole nother level when these children got to become published authors, and getting to share that with them and what that meant to them was quite extraordinary. This is the picture of some of them wearing the bracelets and getting to see the book for the first time. And what happened was when the children's book author agreed to do this, we didn't tell them about it, but we were getting ready to go back on a trip, and we decided to raise funds for people to sponsor those children to get a book and a bracelet set. So little did they know they were going to be the first recipients really of the product, and also get school funds in the process. Now, I've raised funds for a lot of things as we do in mission. It was the easiest money I've ever raised. I mean, I would go to my mailbox and it would just be checks just flowing. It was just so easy because we were covering lots of orphanages around Kenya, and we thought it would be really neat to take books to all of them. And so that's what we did. We filled suitcases, filled suitcases with books and spread them all over Kenya, and they were the first ones to get it. So this is them, one orphanage receiving theirs. This is the most precious picture to me of their hands wearing the bracelets. This is Simon Mawara. He's really, I love to lift him up in this because he got us thinking out of the box. He's the one that really says, I've got children. He's got some children that will go right into university. They're ready, and again, that's a big expense for them. He's got others that are going to be more in learning trades because of just learning disabilities and things like that. But he's trying to make sure that every child has a destiny path for them to step out into the world, to not only share the kingdom and Christ, but just to feel successful in something that they do. So he's the one that really got us thinking, what could the children do to be involved? And is really quite blown away by what the children really stepped forward and did, not only with the bracelets, but with the public speaking and all of that as well. Now I'll tell you how we raise the funds. We get to print these in the U.S., which you can imagine helps a lot, and then the bracelets just come to us, usually in like corn bags or different things that they use, and then we divide them and put them in little bags. And then what we do is we donate everything right back to them for their school fees. And so we love it because I would love to have my feet on the ground in Kenya way more than I get to, but it's given me a way to continue doing that while I'm here, And we love to sell them. We sell them to children's Bible study groups and different things, and it becomes a neat little non-week or non-lesson plan for them, and the children love getting the bracelets. That's the favorite part. So I just wanted you to meet a couple of the girls. This is Hamisa. She's in one of the videos. I can't remember which Fruit of the Spirit she does, but this is her. They'll just be outside their one of their homes at the orphanage and making bracelets, and they love it. And they make bracelets so quickly. I mean, I don't know about you, but tying those little knots can be sometimes frustrating for me, but they think nothing of it. It's really neat. This is Lillian. She's on one of the devotions and just so sweet as well. This is a picture of them making bracelets. This is their school teacher here, and he created a whole teaching model for them to learn how to do the bracelets that involves like a piece of wood and a nail where they know exactly how to do the string and put it on, and they just love making them. We even we had one child that was 3 years old making bracelets when we were there, and she She was doing a wonderful job. This is a close-up of just, I think it's just precious seeing their hands do the beads. And this is actually the piece of board here with the nail that they use. It's in the background. Another picture of the bracelet. And then this is us the night. We had a huge assembly line. This is my ministry partner and myself sorting out the bracelets because that they were going to get. And they still didn't know. They didn't know what was happening. They just thought we were looking at all their products and all of that. But little did they know at the end of the night we had a huge celebration and a big cake, and they all got their bracelets and books. These are some of the bags that they will come in. And it's so interesting. I will talk about the cost of the bracelets for a second. To make the 9 bracelets, when they buy them in market, I think it ends up costing about 22 cents to do all 9. So that was wonderful, as you can imagine, compared to here, which helps get more money to schools. These are just, I think the beads are so pretty, just all bunched together. This is Susan. She's also on the video. She is one of the older ones. She's actually in university now, and so she was really one of the ones behind calling the children up to say, let's learn sign language, let's really do our public speaking well, let's create great videos of these, and did a great job. This is them learning to recite poetry. And then this is when they're coming through the line, realizing that they're getting a book, and that it's going to be their own. And, I don't know about you guys and where you've traveled, but it is amazing, especially being a children's book author, to see the value of a book in a country outside of the U.S. compared to here. Our children will have so many at home, and they will hold on to a book as if it's gold, and it's so beautiful to see. This is all of them with their books and bracelets. That was a joyous night that I'll never forget. And then we had a miracle that happened that night that Simon told us about, and he was so good to kind of wait for the right moment to tell us. So when we had decided that we were going to have people here in the States sponsor children to get the books and bracelets for the first time, we raised all the funds, as I said, for all the children in all the orphanages we were going to, and then all the funds went back to Home of the Good Shepherd. And little did we know that the week before we arrived, his staff had been in tears because they were about to have to pull a good handful of children out of school because they were so past due on their bills, and they'd done everything they could. They'd gone to all the churches locally. They'd done just everything they could to keep their children in school, and they didn't know what else to do. And so we arrived, and when we arrived with our funds to give him, it equaled his school bill. And he wanted to make a picture of it, and it still brings me to tears. I can't even believe sometimes the miracles of the Lord to say, I'm in this project. We knew it, but he's like, and here's another way. And he couldn't wait to show us the bills and say, what you just gave me just kept my children in school. And so when we arrived that night, the children were lined up because they had then received news that they weren't coming out of school, and they'd already been told. Then some of the older ones were saying, I'll do it, keep the younger ones in. They were just really working together, and then none of them had to. So you can imagine what true joy that brought us. So anyway, it really just helped us see that I think we're actually doing some more stuff to even sponsor children, and I think that's beautiful too, because we can sponsor, I think $50 a month will keep these children in school through university. But we're always going to keep this going because it's them knowing that they have a part in something. And I will tell one last story. We were coming back from being far up north in Kenya for Alpha training, and we had to swing by the orphanage, which has beautiful farms, and we were going by to pick up our bag of goodness bracelets. They didn't want us to leave the country without the goodness bracelets because they had been behind on those, and they'd done all other 8, and they wanted to equal. So we pull into the orphanage on our way back to Nairobi, and there were children scattered all over the field. All the farmers had stopped, everyone at the orphanage, getting all the goodness bracelets done before we had to leave for the airport so that we had the ones to match. So it was just neat to see their attention to quality and detail as well. So it just gave us just really a different thought that sometimes I think we always may think, let's just give. And it's amazing what they will teach us. Like, can we look at it even a different way? Can we get creative? And we did. Now, the gentlemen that I said in the beginning, John Claude and Richard, that were singing when the power went out, when it came time to do the videos, and I'll try and turn one on with my phone, we wanted a song in the beginning and end just to kind of start the video, and we chose that song of them singing Without Power to start the videos as just a way to kind of finish the project. So I'll do that real quickly just to start. This is the joy one.
Hello there, boys and girls. My name is Lilian. I live in Nyahururu, Kenya, in Africa.
Sorry. Essentially.
Hello there, boys and girls. My name is Lilian. I live in Nyahururu, Kenya, in Africa, at the home of Good Shepherd. Today, I would like to talk about what I've run about in Joy by Living Remaining Other Children. Let's open with a short prayer. Lord God, please give us ears to hear you speaking to us through this devotional and a heart that is willing to learn. Amen.
And then it goes through the devotion and the poem, and then at the end they all take out whatever color bracelet that you put on after that particular devotion, and they hold it up for the children, whoever are watching, to know what to do. So, any questions?
When did this start?
We got the idea in 2016, and then spent about 8 months implementing it, and went back in 2017, and that's when we gave out everything. And then now they were here last year, and so they arrived with tons of bracelets in their suitcases, and so we just kind of keep it going, and just love sending them funds that we raise. So.
Sorry to cover this, but how do you sell the different things? Do you do it through churches? Do you do any retail stores? Like, how does that?
Oh, that's a good question. The books are actually on Amazon, so people can order them on Amazon. We haven't connected the bracelets to that. So that part, but the way we wrote the book was that you could make your own bracelets, because we thought if people want to do Amazon, we don't want it to be this disjointed project. So they can do that. But most of what we do is through churches, Bible study groups. My business partner and ministry partner is in Birmingham, Alabama, so she will do work there, and I will do work in Charleston and places. And we try and do it along with Fruit That Lasts, because Fruit That Lasts will be out there and doing teachings like we are at this conference, and so we kind of always carry this with us as something to offer as well. Yeah.
Can you suggest other projects? Suppose we go to a country where the bracelets, which I know are sort of part of the culture, but they may not be in other countries. Can you suggest other projects?
That is so interesting, because we've been talking to a couple countries, because our children's book publisher wanted this to become a Kingdom Kids Create project, where kids around the world were teaching other kids around the world. And we got into that discussion with some folks from, I think they were in Pakistan, that that it would be really hard for them to get a product out no matter what. And so what they had come up with was they were going to write songs. And so that it was going to be something that ended up in the book that they had done, but not a separate product that had to be brought out of the country. And so I thought that was really creative. Or somebody had an idea to do recipes. Let me tell you a little bit about the food we eat, and kind of connect that with a devotion. So
the devotion isn't necessarily fruits of the Spirit; it's just a devotion.
That's right. We wanted it we wanted it just to be what was on their heart to do. Yeah.
You mentioned Charleston.
Yes.
Where are you?
I live in Mount Pleasant.
Oh, St. Andrews.
Do what?
St. Andrews.
I was at St. Andrews. I was actually on staff at St. Michael's as their Alpha director until I went out to do this, and I'm attending a church in North Charleston now. But yeah, I was their Alpha director for quite a while. And that's how I met Simon, actually. He was put into our home when he visited and saw Fruit That Lasts and Alpha, and said, will you come to Kenya and do both of these? So that's when we started kind of doing the children one week and Alpha the next week over there. Any other questions? Well, I hope it was helpful. It was truly divine and truly from the Lord, because we just couldn't have come up with it on our own, and then watching them take it to a whole nother level than we expected was pretty special. And children love the QR codes. Like, I had one embedded in here, and I couldn't get it to play on in this setup for some reason. But they, it's so funny with children. Like, you could have a big screen, and they're going to watch it right here, like on this little screen. And so we think it's fun to have the QR code, and they'll just hover around a table and watch the devotion, and then and we also have them read it usually when I do it. But well, good. Well, I'm still open for questions, but if we're done, I certainly appreciate you being here. Thank you, Lord.
Do you make enough money out of it to really help them sustain?
Yes. It's amazing. It's not the only source. Like I said, we also have been implementing a sponsorship alongside it. But it was amazing, even just like small amounts, what it does. Like, it's school fees for them that are astronomical in their setting, but it's still not for us. And so every time it's just made a real big difference. He asked me to send him the money, like, hold it until I really feel led to send it, because he just knows that it's going to come at a moment when it's really needed. But yes, it's made a really big difference. And even still, because they know that they did it, it's even more. But it does help
The
greatly.
stuff comes out, it's carried by somebody.
Yeah, the bracelets. So the publisher is in the U.S., so we get to print the books here. And then, like, if we go over, we bring suitcases back, or if they come here, they bring suitcases. And the good thing is, I mean, I have a huge supply of these from just the visit last year when they came. So it keeps us going for a while.
And if people want to buy these after the weekend, say they want to get 10 or something, where would they get them?
Yeah, contacting me is the best way, for sure. I have some business cards with me. And then if you want just the book, they're on Amazon. But and I do have it. We have a table in the exhibit hall as well, which we have some over there.